Well, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is that you're having. And yeah, welcome to Transformation Tuesday. Let's take a deep breath into this day, this beautiful day that we've been given as a gift to make choices, to decide, and to create and celebrate. Well, I'm so grateful that we're in January 2025. We've been doing this every Tuesday since March of 2020, where we bring in and awaken the planet. And so in January, we're studying the book Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Behrend. And let me just recap where we've kind of been so far. The first week, we were talking about that quote, and I'm going to just say it, just think about it a minute before I bring in our super guest speaker. I'm so excited. My mind is a center of divine operation. And divine operation means expansion and fuller expression and the production of something beyond what has gone on before. Something entirely new. Not included in the past, but proceeding from the past in an orderly sequence of events. Boom. It's like, so, and then we were talking about another week about our words as seed germs and being like what we put out there, and we're talking about creating a word or having a word and repeating it and repeating it and repeating it till it becomes who you are being. So as we continue this journey in January 2025, I want to totally introduce you to my friend Lety Seibel. And I noticed we're in the same Brave Thinking Institute. We're both life mastery consultants. And I was so curious because she's from northern Wisconsin and has so much energy and so much to just about her life. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Lety, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your history and what about this power that you've come to believe over these years. Come on in, Lety.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy. And hello, everybody. It's such an honor to be invited to share with you in this way. And just a little bit about me, as was born in Mexico, and my grandmother was a traditional healer. A curandera is the name, is how it's called here in Mexico. And so I grew up really imbued in the power of the invisible world, and just seeing my grandmother performing amazing healings that were, when people wanted to give her credit, she would say, no, 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 don't give me credit. If you want to give me credit for anything, give me credit for getting out of the way so that spirit can work through me. And that is, something that has been just touched me so deeply. She was also a seer, so she could see people's auras. I guess she didn't call them that, but she said that she always saw people had a team of helpers around them. And she said, even if you never see them, I have never experienced one single person that did not have a whole team of helpers around them. And she would get excited and she would describe them. They just looked so amazing. And of course, in a child's imagination, that really grew and that really grew. And always recognizing that. Then I came to Wisconsin in my later years. And one of the things, I lived in the woods for a year, and just with very, very basic tools to really connect with relationship, which our elders have always told us that everything in life is about relationship. And relationship with the woods, with the flowers, with the birds, with the stone people. My grandmother considered them all family. And when I lived in the woods for that year in 2020, like that, it just all came back to me. I just really felt that relationship with every single person that lived in the wood, the mosses, the clouds. And what the Ojibwe people of my area taught me is that, like, the lodges where we lived were these circular globe, these globe shapes, and 3/4 of the globe were outside, but a quarter or a third, actually 2/3, and then a third was underneath. And so the shape of the lodge is very much like a globe that has this third missing, but it's never missing. And that's what the Ojibwe people taught me, that the invisible world is so important to acknowledge that it's there and that it exists. And the other piece where this invisible part came was in the dream time, when we go into the land of dreams and we have a being that we refer to as our dream self. And the dream self is actually knows us so well because the dream self has a 360-degree view of our lives. So knows us even better than, like all that subconscious area that's hidden to these physical senses is visible to our dream self. And a Dene chief was visiting us one time, and he told us a story of how dreams came to the people. And maybe other time I could share that story because it was so impactful for me. The piece that I can share now is that they said in the story that when we give as much importance to our awake time as we do to our dream time, then balance can be restored, because that invisible part of life is so crucial that without it, we don't have that sense of wholeness.
Oh, that's great.
So, Judy, that's a little bit of just of the background that I have lived, that my life has blossomed in.
I love it that if we give as much power to our dream life as we do to our awake life, the balance there. Whoa. Could you talk a little bit more about that and how that's worked? Maybe an example in your own life, or maybe someone where you've seen that. I think you would call that an awakening in your dream life, right?
Yes, it's I guess what comes to me is a quote by Rabindranath Tagore, who is, I'm not sure, Middle Eastern, maybe a prophet, a poet from another era. And he said, faith is like the bird that sings while the dawn is still dark. And, it is always darkest before the dawn. And so this feeling of when things feel so dark, when feels things like, oh, how can it get any worse than this? And just to remember those words, faith is like the bird that sings while the dawn is still dark. Just knowing that because it is so dark, it is that the light is coming. And because we are beings of light, and that was one thing that my grandmother always, there was always this life is this amazing miracle, this amazing, well, just the fact that we're spiritual beings being breathed. If I had to remember to breathe myself, I don't know which of us would still be alive if we had to remember. And the other piece that comes to me is that there are 6 trillion functions that our body is enacting so that we could just sit here and just be breathed. There's 6 trillion functions happening for our bodies to be moving and dancing and enjoying or crying or, just all of these things that seem like paradoxes, the yin yang, the dark and the light. And in my mind, with my small senses of this physical world, I think I know how things should be. And the wind spoke to me a couple of years ago. I was walking and suddenly this wind came and my skirt blew and my hair blew and the wind said to me, let me blow away all of your thoughts so that you can hear what life is telling you.
Oh, great.
And to some people it's like crazy. How can the wind speak to you, or the stones, or the plants? But they all do. They all do. And it's that invisible part that is always present, that is always available. And that nature and the universe is like this benevolent being that is constantly happening. And then another story that comes, with so many stories. I studied the Ojibwe language for 10 years, and the Ojibwe language is an earth language. Now, earth languages, the way that they have arrived is like the dreams. The way that the dreams came to us is in the Ojibwe legends, they say that Maingan, who is a wolf person, and Nanabojo, who was the original human, they were buddies, and they were the first people that walked around the earth, and they went around speaking to the people, and they would say, "Ani nokomis, ani nejeayayin," and in the Ojibwe language, that was like, "Grandfather, grandmother, how are you? How are you? Tell me about you." And they traveled around the world asking people for their names. And then Ajidamu, the squirrel, would start telling their name. And by the way that they behaved, by the way that they moved, and by the way that they chattered, they could speak what their name was. And Ajidamu actually means the one that poops upside down. Mu is a word for poop. Ajidamu is like upside down, and the squirrel is always, and it's very hard in the woods. When we lived, we were learning how to find tracks, and how the different animals, the different people in the woods would speak to us. And so we would do that by looking at the tracks, what they eat, how they eat, where they eat, and when and why. And so the squirrel told Maingan and the first man her name, Ajidamu, by showing them how she lived. And so an earth language is a language that expresses their beingness. And that's how the language was born. And so it's from really listening so deeply, by letting the wind blow our thoughts away, so that we can really understand, what are the flowers saying? And there's so many stories, Judy. Like this Ojibwe grandmother would tell me, the wind is going to change. The weather is changing. Look how the leaves are turning, and they're showing their bellies. And there's just so many stories like that, where nature is constantly speaking to us and telling us what is happening. And that's why in big tsunamis and big, earthquakes, the animals are able to move to safe areas, and the human people that are able to listen can also move to another area, not because they have, I don't know, what we would call it in our modern society, but because they have a connection with that spirit that is moving, that tells them to move to a place of safety.
So it's that connection, right? There's this connection with that invisible power, right? And that whatever, this is like so important. So if you were, I'm going to just read just a sentence from this about perhaps someone who's doubting, it says how to increase your faith. But you ask, how can I speak the word of faith when I have little or no faith? Every living thing has faith in something or somebody. Faith is that quality of power which gives the creative energy a corresponding vitality. And the vitality in the word of faith you use causes it to take corresponding physical form. So we can have faith in fear, right? Or faith in an expanded universe. And then there's this part, your constant observation should be of your state of consciousness when you did, not when you hoped you might. But fear was too good to be true. But feared it was too good to be true. But you did it anyway. And then bring that back to, how you felt that time when you simply had to bring yourself into that higher frame, connected with that faith of your mind. And then you went ahead and did certain things. So yeah, I would, if you could if you could tell us a time when you were being led and then possibly fear rose its head or some kind of other paradigm. I think that, the limiting beliefs and where you almost stopped going forward and that you knew that it was your fear that was holding you back and you went through it anyway. So these paradigm things. And
Yes.
how would you suggest to someone, because we're talking about a whole new energy here, or it's not new, but perhaps we're just getting in touch with that energy. What are some of the steps you would recommend for people who are starting out on this journey? I don't, that's kind of a hard thing too, because we've been going, but who are being aware that they are even on a journey.
Well, Judy, I think that it's really important, just like the 6 trillion functions that we don't know, even know, we wouldn't even be able to count up to 1 trillion if we started counting out loud for years. I don't know if our life would even be enough to get to 1 trillion, and our bodies are fulfilling 6 of those. Another one is an atom. An atom is only space. It's 99.99999, space. And yet here we are, and we look and we touch ourselves. And how can I be made of atoms that are only space and feel so solid? It's one of those great mysteries of life that if we want our brain to comprehend these things, it's never going to happen. It's just like to recognize that a miracle is not something that can be really, grasped. And the mind wants to grasp. And so just today, one of the people that I coach that had a lot of doubt in self said they were in a like a meditation experience where they were meditating for hours at a time. And at one point, this person reached this moment when suddenly everything opened up in that silence, in that stillness. Everything opened up, and they felt that they belonged. They felt that they were accepted, that they were enough, that they were, and in that moment, they felt that they could just go back to that moment at any point in life and know have that knowing, have that space of perfection. I am meant to be here, and I am here for a purpose. And my grandmother used to say, encourage me when I didn't feel, when I felt at odds, when I felt that I couldn't trust, where I felt angry because somebody had done something. And she said, go sit by a tree and tell the tree your troubles, because trees are very good listeners. And she also said, when you want, and this is not something that just my grandmother said, the Ojibwe grandmothers and grandfathers and Potawatomi, like the shamans in Peru, peoples that I have been with, have all repeated the same thing, that in the natural world, where there is no possibility for that world to step out of balance, we can bring any wish, any desire, and speak it out loud. And it's like having a vision. It's like saying, this is what my heart is longing for. I am longing for more of this and less of that. And they have, all of these elders have said, go with your heart open and give it to the universe, give it to the trees, give it to the flowers, give it to the stones. These are all people that have a powerful spirit in them. And that powerful spirit is in you too. But they haven't forgotten. And just by being who they are giving their gifts to the world. So if your faith is not strong enough within you, go to one of these beings in nature, the clouds as they're passing above, the sun as the sun comes up and warms 8 billion humans around the world. This is power. If you don't have trust in yourself, trust one of these beings and ask them to help you. Ask for that team of guides that is always with you to help you, because they are so respectful. These team of guides, their purpose is to support you in accomplishing any purpose that you imagine that you're here for. Ask them to help you, because they will not cross the barrier of your free will. Your free will is the will that determines, am I up for this task, for this challenge, for this purpose that I am here on this earth? I am not helpless. I have a lot of support. Ask for the support. Ask for that help. And your guides will be right there. They're chomping at the bit to run over and help you. So, yes,
That's so,
faith is like that bird that sings while the dawn is still dark. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that you are much greater and contain more power than any situation, than any condition, than any circumstance. When that weight seems to be crushing you, take a breath and remember that that power that allows you to take that one more breath is really supporting you, has your back. That spirit is real and is keeping the sun coming up every day. What more miracle can we ask for?
well, it's beautiful. What a reminder. Yes, remind. Ooh. Wow. Well, thank you so much. This is beautiful and such oh, just such like right here, right now, in this moment, in this time, in January 2025, as as we grow and grow and grow, what would you love to have? Our community is, growing and growing and growing. What would you love to have us and our support, angels, whatever you want to call them. What would you like? What would you love to have us hold for you and your purpose? What is your purpose and how can we support you?
Wow. What a wonderful gift, Judy. Thank you for asking that question. And that is what I have been holding in my heart, and how I would feel so grateful to receive your support is to remind me that I am light, that I am the light of this world, and that I am not separate from you or you or you or you. We are all light in this world. And remembering my grandmother's words, to choose to get out of the way so spirit can work through me. And before taking a single step, dedicate that step to that power that is breathing me, that is breathing all. Thank you for helping me to remember. And as each one of us takes one more step in the light that we are, that we can be the support for each single human being to awaken to the truth of who we are.
Well, and so it is. And so was, yes, and so we let it be.
Thank
As
you.
we gather
Thank
and we're sending our energy, the energy straight to you, we see you, we behold you, and we behold the light in you, Lety. Thank you so much. We're in such gratitude for you and your journey. Whew, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing, Judy, and all of the people that are working with you. Thank you. This is the most important work any of us can do. In the Diamond Sutra, it talks about that. That is the greatest work we can do, to remember that we're here, to remember who we are and why we have come.
Amen. Let's do another, and so it is. Boom, and so we let it be. Amen. Thank you so much, Lety. This is great.